My wife snapped and poured a bottle of water on me while I was eating. Now, she's crying a river because I'm walking out of our marriage. This happened a few weeks ago. My wife and I were arguing about how to cut onions. Effing onions. I had stupidly thought that I could do it, that I could chop up onions and add them to the chili as she asked. She came by and got pissed, telling me that I'd cut them too coarse, that they were supposed to be much smaller, and that the chili was ruined because I'd put them in the pot. I said okay, let me just get them out. They're just on top and I was just trying to do what you asked. I can cut them smaller and I started to pull them out with a spoon. She says, no, that's okay. Don't do it. She'll just do it. She pushes me out of the way and takes the knife out of my hand. I let go. My self-esteem is poop. I started to complain about how I did what she asked. And if she'd wanted them put into the chili at the end, she should have just asked for that instead of me putting them into the chili while it was still on the stove. I desperately wish I could do something, anything right. I retreat to the other room, as I'm pretty effing sad. I'm 28 years old and I can't make canned chili, apparently. I sit down on the bed, trying to stay out of my wife's way so she can fix my mistakes. She brings in dinner, and I'm ready to drop the problem. I eat, and she eats half of her food, then brings it back up. I apologize multiple times. She doesn't seem satisfied. I try to explain myself then, that I feel like maybe she should have communicated a little better if she'd wanted the onions as a garnish instead of just in the chili. She tells me I'm not listening, that I'm cutting her off. I don't understand. I feel like we're taking turns. I desperately try to stay calm and keep my voice quiet, as calmly as possible. I say that I would appreciate it if she could be more specific about what she wants. Then, she snaps and pours the entire glass bottle of water all over me. As she does, I can hear myself saying, please don't, as water runs down my face and back. It's making a huge mess. She drops the bottle on the floor and walks out. Water is everywhere. I start crying really hard. My first instinct is to clean the water up. Wipe it up. Get the blanket dry. I tried so hard to be good. I tried so hard to keep my calm. And it got me nowhere. I get my keys and leave, still crying. My wife starts crying as I walk out, telling me I don't care about our relationship, and that I'm abandoning her. I just tell her as calmly as I can, that I need to be alone for a little bit. I go out for an hour and sit by the library. I'm cold and wet. She called me several times. I don't really want to answer. I haven't been okay since this. I know it seems stupid, but this event has pulled up a lot of bad things she did to me in the past when she was going through a lot of other things in her life. She's apologized for some, others she doesn't even remember. Verbal, emotional, physical. I don't think I can stay married. It's like everything keeps boiling up. I don't know why this. Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know. Update. It's been a whirlwind these past few weeks. After that night with the chili and the water, I couldn't handle it anymore. I packed up some clothes, grabbed my keys, and went to my parents' house. I told them everything. About the onions, about how she snapped, poured water all over me, and how small that moment made me feel. But more than that, I told them about the other times. The times she'd said hurtful things, pushed me too far or made me feel like nothing I did was good enough. They were quiet at first, my mom and dad just listening. They didn't interrupt. Didn't try to solve it for me. They just understood. My dad finally nodded and told me I could stay as long as I needed. My mom hugged me. I think that hug did more for me than anything in the world right then. I turned off my phone. I couldn't deal with the calls and texts. At first, it was just her saying she didn't mean it, that she was exhausted. But then she started blaming me, saying it was my fault because I never listened or didn't do things right. It was too much. I just needed space. For the last week, my dad's been taking me out with him to fish and just do stuff. Simple stuff. We didn't talk about the big things, and he didn't push me to. But somehow, in those quiet hours out by the water, I felt lighter. Like maybe I wasn't completely drowning under everything that had happened. I was happy, for the first time in what felt like forever. But when we got back home one day, my mom was fuming. Apparently, my wife had shown up while we were gone. She was furious, demanding why I wasn't responding, and why I had turned off my phone. My mom, God bless her, had had enough. She confronted me, asking why she did what she did, and why she couldn't seem to treat me with any decency. My wife couldn't give her a straight answer, and that's when my mom really lost it. She kicked her out, yelling loud enough for the neighbors to hear. My wife was shouting back, but it didn't matter. My mom wasn't having any of it. She told her to leave and never come back until she figured out how to treat me right. That's when I knew I couldn't do it anymore. I filed for divorce. When she found out, she came to my workplace, crying, begging me not to go through with it. She said I should be ashamed of myself, that it was just one mistake. But it wasn't. It was one of so many things that had piled up over the years. I had reached my breaking point. I finally told her that I couldn't live like this anymore and that I wasn't willing to keep enduring the constant hurt. I told her, I've spent years trying to be good enough for you, but I'm done feeling like a failure in my own home. That made her weep. She stopped talking after that. She just walked out, looking broken, and I haven't seen her since. I'm not okay yet, but I'm getting there. Slowly, the weight is lifting, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe.